Thank you to SwitchGads for sponsoring this video. Your phone's home screen is the one page that you will look at roughly 350 times per day. Some home screens look a little more organized than most. While my home screen has a bit more apps than a minimal home screen, I like the look and productivity that I get from having all my apps here. Every app has a place and a purpose. My most used apps are on my home screen and the rest are in the app drawer so I can use them only when I need them. Let's take a look at how you can make this home screen your own. Alright, so like I mentioned, I like using this home screen because it's both productive and has minimal amount of distractions on it. So all of the apps on here I use at least once a day, or at least open them at least once a day just to check what's going on. I also made sure that all the apps that are on my home screen are compatible with both Android and also iOS, just because I'm using both of them, so constantly switching back and forth. Having a different setup makes me kind of lose where I'm at, or like it's hard to get adjusted when you're switching back and forth and they just change up everything on you. This also helps you guys out because if you guys are on Android or on Apple, you guys can also create this home screen yourselves for whatever phone you have. Now I am using the Google Pixel 6 for my Android device, and then I have the 13 Pro for my iPhone or iOS device. Unfortunately, Apple doesn't allow you to put the apps wherever you want. So to get this look that I have here, you are going to have to get a third-party app to get a transparent widget, is what they call them, which will technically just put a giant widget on the top of your screen, the top half of your screen, which will move your apps down below, and then that widget will be kind of transparent by matching what the background looks like. The app that I am using is called Transparent Widget, and it's a very simple app. You just take a screenshot of your home screen without any apps, and then you just choose whatever widget you want from it, and it makes it a transparent one. There are some paid features like giving you a transparent widget that also can include your time or the date. But really, I don't need any of those extra features. I just wanted it to move all my apps down below. For the time, I have that clock up on the right corner of the iOS device. And then for my day, I also use my watch. With Android, you can just place the apps wherever you want. I am using the regular Pixel launcher that comes with the Google Pixel 6. So I have no 30 app. It's all just integrated. I just moved all the apps down to the bottom corner. The only widget I am using, or really the only widget that has any really good information, is the weather widget. Now I use this to plan out my day because living in Arizona, it could be 45 degrees in the morning, but by the afternoon it's already like 75 or 80 degrees, especially now with the changing weather. So I like to have this app, and it's really cool that it gives you the high and the low of the day so that you can see exactly how hot it's going to be and you don't overdress. And you can also see that if it's going to stay low throughout the whole day, that way you don't underdress. Now, a small difference is that the Apple widget does give you a status of how the day is looking, such as telling you it's sunny or it's cloudy, and the Android widget or the Google widget doesn't tell you that. It's a really small difference. They both have the icon to show you a little like a thumbnail of how it looks outside. So, I mean, it's a small difference. Both of my devices are set to light theme, so all of them have the light theme all throughout. I was a big proponent of dark theme for a while, but honestly, it's nice to have a change. And then I also use my device a lot outdoors or in very bright environments. So sometimes whenever I went to read a message or look through the settings, it was kind of difficult to see even with the max brightness. So I decided to go with the light theme. It's a little easier to see outdoors and in the sunlight. But I also have it set to auto switch back to dark theme anytime it gets dark outside, just because that way when I look at my phone like in the middle of the night or when I wake up for my alarm, I'm not just blasted with floodlights at like 6 a.m. in the morning. I have separated my apps into folders on my home screen, as you can see. This has been done so that I can go ahead and see what I am looking for. All of the folders are titled after exactly what kind of apps they have inside of them. So if I ever want to do some creative work or some of my YouTube video, respond to comments, I know exactly where to go. If I want to do some work, I know exactly what folder to click on. All of my other apps are in the app drawer, and on the iPhone, I use the spotlight feature where you just scroll down on any part of the home screen and you can search for the exact app that you want to open up. And on the Google, I just use the Google search bar, which is at the bottom of the screen, and same exact thing. I can go ahead and search for whatever app I'm looking for. Keeping things set up this way has helped me be more productive and not really be distracted by all the apps on my home screen. I know there are some people who just have their home screen full of all the apps they have ever downloaded, and that to me seems a bit cluttered and I can't really ever find what I need. So having this setup really helps me find exactly what I want to do, and it helps me stay less distracted by trying to open up any other app while I'm searching for the exact one I want. Let's take a look at my first folder, which is called content creation. And like I mentioned, all of the titles are pretty self-explanatory. This is where I keep all of my apps that I use for content creation. I use Instagram to post any of my product photography and engage with anyone on there. And YouTube, well, I used to watch any of my other YouTubers that I follow and also interact with my audience. Same thing with YouTube Studio. This is where I post my videos. I can go ahead and edit the titles, edit the thumbnail or descriptions, as well as respond to comments. I also have vidIQ on here, which is an SEO tool, which really helps me optimize some of my videos. It helps me look up if anyone is even searching for the topic that I want to create a video on. So I kind of just use it as a keyword search tool, and I don't really use any of the other premium features. I'm still on the free plan. I get 3 daily ideas of what kind of videos I could make. I don't really make those because sometimes they're really far out there or they're really not within my budget, but it does give you a couple of ideas. I mostly use it for the keyword search tool. For my Instagram photos, I do pre-plan or pre-schedule all of my posts, and to do that I use the Facebook Business Suite. That's not included here on my iPhone because I do that on my iPad. It's easier for me to edit all of my photos on the iPad and just send them straight to the Business Suite. So this is more of content consumption on Instagram, and kind of engage with all the other Instagram photographers that I follow. It's a really cool community. A lot of us like to take photos of tech, and some of them are really good at taking photos. The second folder I have on my home screen is my shopping folder. Now, it might be a bad idea to have this on my home screen, especially with me wanting to not buy any more tech, but honestly this is really useful to have it on here. As a tech reviewer and tech YouTuber, I do a lot of reviews and I'm constantly searching for another accessory, a little small accessory that I can review and help you guys out decide whether it's the right choice to buy that accessory or not. So I do have this on here, and these are the services that I use to look up any accessories or any tech really overall that I can buy. Now, the first app I have on here is from our sponsor of the video, SwitchGads. SwitchGads is a service that allows for you to sell or buy tech gadgets with the security of making sure you are getting what you paid for. When a listing is sold, the seller has to confirm the sale first in their Manage My Sales tab. Once they confirm the sale, they can receive a prepaid, pre-addressed shipping label via email, and they will have 48 hours to ship the device out from the time of confirming the sale. SwitchGads then inspects, verifies, and sanitizes the device before shipping it to the buyer. Each IMEI device that is listed on SwitchGads is checked before the device even goes live. This will prevent stolen or reported lost phones from going live on their site, and that way you don't get scammed and buy a stolen device. Once a device has passed inspection and verification from SwitchGads, the funds are released to the seller's SwitchGads credit account. From there, the seller can decide whether to buy another device on SwitchGads with that credit amount or cash it out to their PayPal account. SwitchGads fees are competitive to other buying and selling platforms, as well as giving you a service to experience when buying and selling devices. Check them out at the link in the description. They do have Android and iOS apps as well, which will all be listed in the description. Thanks again to SwitchGads for sponsoring this video. I also have the Amazon and Best Buy apps on this folder because sometimes whenever you go out and buy a used device, it's super close to a brand new device and you'd rather go with the brand new one, or sometimes you just can't find it used. I also use OfferUp to buy used devices. As I mentioned before, I'm a big proponent of buying used devices rather than brand new ones, just because you can probably get the same exact experience out of a used one for a lesser price. Unfortunately, OfferUp isn't as secure as SwitchGads because, of course, no one really verifies that the phone works, and with their shipping option, sometimes people are getting scammed. I know I've heard of a couple of friends that bought stuff off of OfferUp and then it was just all a scam. Luckily, this hasn't happened to me. Do remember that when using OfferUp and meeting up with someone from the internet, that you do it at a secure place and that you try and verify or at least inspect the device as best as possible before making the exchange. Not buying as much new tech has been a goal for me for 2022, and having this folder on here kind of defeats my goal of it. But I also run a YouTube channel, and I am honestly constantly going through all of these apps trying to see if there's another device out there that I can review. But yeah, these are the main ones that I use to buy all of my gadgets. Make sure you check them out, and let's move on to my next folder here on my home screen, which is a folder called podcast. All right, so this folder includes all of the services that I use to listen to my podcasts. I follow a lot of techie ones from Android and Apple, as well as listening to some productivity or some like self-development podcasts, just because I like to keep up with myself and at the same time keep up with all the tech that's going on out there, all the new events and all the new releases. When on iOS, I use Apple Podcasts to listen to all of my podcasts. It has basically everything I need, as well as even including the podcast that I co-host with Ray Diaz. Make sure you guys check us out. Our podcast name is Nerd Tech Podcast. I'll make sure to link it in the description. We talk a lot about the consumer perspective of all the tech that's going on out there and how to get the best use out of the tech that you already own. It's going to be a more relaxed environment, and it's not really as scripted as a YouTube video would be. So make sure you guys check us out. I'll link it down in the description. And if you're on Android, you can follow us on Castbox because they don't have Apple Podcasts. I'll make sure to link it down there as well. And with that, I can show you guys how different it is on my Android device. I have Google Podcasts to listen to basically all of my podcasts, and I have Castbox whenever I want to listen to the podcast that me and Ray uploaded. We are working on getting our podcast also included on Google Podcasts. So basically, as soon as that goes through, I am going to delete Castbox, just as a small disclaimer. So basically, my main ones are Apple Podcasts for Apple and Google Podcasts for my Android device. And with that, we can move on to my next folder, which is my work folder. And this is where I keep everything from my day job for my work that I use on a daily basis. Now, like I said, it's pretty self-explanatory. I just use all these apps to communicate with work, to get some of my emails, to look through some of the files and all of that. Now, I do have the calendar app on here, but I didn't have it before. And actually, I've only had it for a couple weeks because I missed a meeting. And I said, you know what? I'm going to download it on my phone to see if I can keep up with my meetings. And luckily, after that, I haven't missed a single one. I get notifications on my watch to let me know 10 minutes before my meeting is going on, which has been really helpful. Highly recommend that if your work includes a calendar that you can download as an app, go ahead and do that because it's going to help you not miss any meetings or at least not be late to any of them. I also have Slack on here, which is our main communication service that we use for work. That way we're not just emailing each other back and forth. I know a lot of places use Teams, and having experienced Teams before, I can honestly say that I like Slack best. I like that we can create channels. I like that you can have DMs, create your own little groups, lock them up. It feels like a better experience to me than Microsoft Teams. The last app I have on here is my Google Drive, which is where we have some of the shared files that we have between the company, with my coworkers or with someone else. This is where I keep all of my files for work. And then I also don't have any of the Google Suite apps such as Sheets or Docs, but that's because with the Google Drive app, if you just click on one, it'll open it up. So I do have them downloaded. They're just not on this folder to kind of not keep it cluttered. I have them on the app drawer and they'll just open up automatically once I find that file on the Google Drive. The last part of my home screen is the dock. And this is where I keep all of my essential apps, basically everything that I'm using constantly throughout the day, not just opening up once or twice. Now, all of these essential apps are honestly pretty boring. I have all of the stock apps that come with the device except for Apple email, just because I don't really like the experience with Apple email and I prefer the Gmail app. But this is how easy, or I guess how boring all these apps are, even though they're essentials. I use the Gmail app for all of my email. I use the web browser to browse the web. I use messages to send out messages. And I also use photos to look at all the photos I've taken. This is literally the least exciting part of it, but it's also the ones that I use the most. So I keep them down there, that's there within reach, and I'm using them constantly throughout the day. So it's pretty much it for the dock. It's not really that exciting. I do have a little bit more use in that. Like obviously for the messages, yeah, I send out messages, but not only do I message friends and family, I also message some coworkers. I use it also to message my co-host for the podcast. We talk about what topics we want to do. I don't have the phone app on here, which is something that a lot of people have. That's because I don't use phone calls as much, and whenever I do need to call someone, I just go to the messages and there's that little phone on the top right corner. So I don't really see the reason to have the phone app itself on here when you can just call someone from the messages app. One component that I really like about the Google Pixel 6 that's not available on iOS is having the Google app on the leftmost side of the screen. Apple did this by, if you swipe all the way left, I forget what they call it, but you have a whole bunch of widgets and you kind of have an overview of your day. But I really like that Google has it where you swipe left, you see the Google app, you have 5 or 6 articles right there and then that you can go ahead and click on. I like this better because I don't really like searching for an article, and sometimes I don't even know what I'm looking for. So it's kind of having like a quick little update on all the news things that are coming out. So I really like this on iOS. I really hope that Apple would allow you to include something like this, at least in a widget. They do have the app, so you can do that. Just go into the Google app and you'll have the same experience. All in all, this is my home screen setup. It's pretty minimal. I don't like to keep as many distractions. I don't have that many apps. And like I mentioned, all of the folders are pretty self-explanatory. I use them for what I use them for. Whenever I actually want to get work done or get very productive, I jump on my desktop or I go get on my iPad. I use that to be the most productive. These phones, yeah, the phones I use to browse the internet, answer some quick messages, reply to some comments and stuff like that. I'm still getting used to being fully on Android. I don't really miss AirDrop. I know I talked a lot about how much I really like it. I still get that experience with the iPad and the Mac Mini. Like I mentioned, I do a lot of my photo editing and a lot of my planning for photos off of the iPad. So I still get that feature with the iPad and Mac Mini. But looking at how I don't really use my phones, like I said, to be productive and do all of this like extravagant stuff, I like having it to be a simple, just kind of browsing and just relaxing type of work. It's not really intensive and doing like heavy research, writing like articles and stuff like that. These phones also have great cameras. I like them both. I like the cameras, the way they work. I used to be a huge fan of the Google camera, and I still really like it. But I feel like iPhone is really getting up there, and I really like their video features better than Google. So they both have really great cameras. I like using them both, and these are great phones. Let me know down in the comments though, what do you guys think? Should I go back to iPhone or should I stick with Android? I don't know what you guys are using. Let me know what you guys are using or whether you have switched back and forth between the two. Let me know down in the comments. I haven't really gotten around to customizing or doing the full customization of the theme in Android, but I will be doing that in the future. I'm thinking even of dropping a monthly home screen setup so that you guys can go ahead and follow along and change some of your things. I know I like changing things up every month. Kind of makes it feel new, makes your phone almost have a new life. So I like having that. Stay tuned for my new home screen setup at the end of February. But yeah, this is all I have for you guys today. Thank you for sticking around to the end. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed the content and subscribe if you haven't already. But yeah, I'll catch you guys on the next one.